Can self-driving cars protect black people from police violence? This article is otherwise called, Can self-driving cars solve racism? Probably not. I can't but feel that they're asking a little more of the AI of these cars than they're really designed for. This article ends with this. It's not trivial to wonder whether cops will continue this trend by stopping automated cars occupied by people with suspicious skin tones. While we're on this, if police order an automated car to pull over and it doesn't due to some technical glitch, who's at fault? Suggest the car, maybe. That will be the one police chase that African Americans will not want to be a party to. Not sure they want to be a party to the other ones. The point here is that while the car represents freedom and mobility for many people, it has become the locus of police-driven killings for too many African Americans, regardless of whether laws and safety guidelines are being followed. Philando Castile was wearing his seatbelt when the police killed him. Terrence Crutcher's hands were visibly up when the police shot him. In the Keith Lamont Scott case in Charlotte, even if Scott had a gun, as police say, North Carolina is an open carry state. If, in any of those scenarios, an automated car would have helped them avoid death, then maybe this new technology would truly be a game changer. Sure, self-driving cars weren't created with these particular safety issues in mind, but how safe is a highly automated vehicle in the face of highly automated racism? Well, that's a very good question. But what if the cars themselves are racist? Because a study has shown that apparently self-driving cars are more likely to run you over if you're black. Which I think we can agree is a clear case of racism, if ever we have seen it. Technology used in self-driving cars has a racial bias that makes autonomous vehicles more likely to drive into black people, a new study has claimed. Researchers at the Georgia Institute of Technology found that state-of-the-art detection systems, such as the sensors and cameras in self-driving cars, are better at detecting people with lighter skin tones. That makes them less likely to spot black people and to stop before crashing into them, the authors note. So, the cars are racist. They have to go. Tests on the 8 image recognition systems found that this bias held true, with their accuracy proving 5% less accurate on average for people with darker skin. It's almost like it's designed to hurt black people, really, isn't it? I imagine that the scientists who created these cars, well, they're probably racist themselves. And the cars are just a reflection of their innate bias against black people, aren't they? Aren't they? We hope this study provides compelling evidence of a real problem that may arise if this source of capture bias is not considered before deploying these sorts of recognition models. AI researcher Kate Crawford, who was not involved in the study, highlighted the dangers of such systems if these issues are not addressed by the companies developing self-driving cars. Pedestrian deaths by self-driving cars are already here, but they're not evenly distributed. Essentially, the self-driving cars are going on a racist rampage and killing black people. But other AI experts responded to a tweet by highlighting that the paper did not use datasets used by autonomous vehicle developers, and so may not reflect the actual accuracy of real-world systems. In an ideal world, academics would be testing the actual models and training sets used by autonomous car manufacturers. But given that those are never made available, a problem in and of itself, the papers like these offered strong insights into very real risks, because this is hardly the first time that artificial intelligence has been proven to be racist. Apparently in January, researchers at MIT found that Amazon's facial recognition software had a harder time identifying a person's gender if they were female or darker skinned. So you're saying that a white male made this software. But this has been coming for some time, as you can see by this article, by someone who is making self-driving cars, or at least testing them. The racist, autonomous driving car and the dangers of bias in artificial intelligence. I was riding the back of an autonomous driving car of a well-known startup. As the car navigated its way through suburban testing field, I watched the car's mental processes play out on a tablet screen in front of me. Every time a pedestrian came into our vicinity, an alert would pop up on the tablet screen, indicating that the car had correctly recognized the humanoid presence. We passed dozens of pedestrians on the trip. Encountering each one, the alert would go off on the screen. Our nerves would calm with the relief that this mechanical thinking machine had spared another life. There were 2 pedestrians that the car failed to detect. 2 men, both walking on the sidewalk, like any one of the other pedestrians we had encountered. The only difference this time was their race. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I asked myself the question, was this car racist? It wasn't the flaring, blood-boiling type of racism that you'd associate with ethnic slur rantings of your typical madman, but something seemingly more easy to dismiss than mere technical coincidence. Later, I spoke with a close friend who is an engineer working on autonomous driving. He explained that cars don't have opinions on races, and that I was being a fucking idiot. He explained that in the realm of autonomous car development, the ability of the car to detect persons with dark skin, in other words, those of certain minority backgrounds, was a problem that the industry was struggling to solve. The reason why was a matter of technical oversight. When teaching any artificial intelligence system to perform a task, you need to train it with experiences, i.e. data, so it can learn from those experiences and understand how to act when it encounters a new experience. Accordingly, if you try to train your autonomous driving car with data that only includes light-skinned persons of what constitutes a human, then the car will have trouble recognizing dark-skinned persons as also human when operating in real-life scenarios. Well then, that seems to be fairly easily solved, doesn't it? As a growing movement of AI critics have pointed out, the problem of AI is that such systems tend to reproduce the very human biases that they seek to eradicate. The reason is because they train the AI system to perform a certain task, you need to train it on data curated by bias-susceptible humans. Yes, that's true, but you really shouldn't use the term racist, because racism is an opinion. It requires an actual thought process behind it. It actually requires prejudice. It's bigotry. It is a form of emotion. It isn't a car or any kind of AI system having data that pre-calibrates it in a certain way that doesn't recognize, say, dark skin tones or something like that. It's not a commentary on other races because the car itself has no race. It's not a white car. The car itself is not really capable of engaging in racism as you think of it. However, that doesn't mean that there isn't also a problem with technology that actually does tend to run over a certain group of people more often than not, for example. I mean, that's obviously something that does actually have to be accounted for when designing this kind of technology. Just don't call it racist. Just don't call it racist, you bloody idiots. It's not. It sounds dumb. You are anthropomorphizing the AI in ways that I don't really think is appropriate. The AI doesn't care about race unless you make it care about race. It cares about what it can and can't see, and from that it matches from its data sets. Just give it a more broad data set.